Hello and welcome to Out the Gate. This is where you'll get the weekend's best racing intel in 30 minutes flat. I'm your host, Alex Donnelly, joined as always by a man who has dressed up for the occasion. It is the first Group 1 of the season this weekend in Melbourne. Gilbert Gardiner, fresh off a hot streak last weekend. How are we, Gil?
Good, mate. Good. Yes, look, we're at Caulfield this week, Group 1 racing, relaxed racing, so no tide today, but also there's a race in Victoria spring launch this afternoon, so hence the attire. I don't usually dress up like this for the office.
Can tell you he's in shorts and thongs as well, so he's really taken the relaxed racing to another level. And a man in Sydney who is drying out because the sun has decided to poke its nose out in Sydney this week. We may be getting on a better than heavy track at Rosehill on Saturday. It's Mitch Cohen from the Daily Telegraph. How are we, Mitch?
Not too bad, mate. Yeah, finally drying out. The sun's out today, which has been a welcome change. I think we might even get on a pretty soft track, even closer to good, the way the weather's going at the moment. It's a soft 6. It'll continue to dry out, that's for sure. It's a beautiful summer day, or spring day in Sydney. So, look, it's thrown us around, this rain up in Sydney, but finally we can get some horses on some better tracks this weekend. But unlike Gil, I always look this good. Haven't just dressed up for a special occasion.
Yeah, and I'm just always going to be in a collar as well. I just stock standard every week is what you'll get out of me. But on today's agenda, we've got the Group 1 preview for the Memsie Stakes. It looks a very intriguing race this weekend, 11 horses to go around. It's San Domenico Day at Rosehill, so the 3-year-olds strutting their stuff as well. Always the best bets, the Quaddie legs, and so on and so forth, as well as some breaking news in tomorrow's paper. But before we get started, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel at Racenet, as well as hit the notifications bell, subscribe, and make sure you do follow us on social media at Racenet Tweets on X. Facebook and Instagram is just at Racenet, so find us there. Plenty of videos coming up at the moment, but let's get out the gate. Firstly, Gil, Caulfield this weekend. I'm going to blame Fangirl because the rain is deciding to turn up, because everywhere that horse goes, rain seemingly follows her when she wants it dry.
Yeah, look, we're in a bit of strife, aren't we? It almost feels a bit like Sydney. Oh, not quite. We haven't had that much rain, but after, I guess we're basically technically in a drought down here, aren't we? I think we haven't had rain for a long time, and it's decided to come this week in time for the first Group 1 of the Victorian season. So it's a little bit concerning. 15 mil tomorrow, and then about 7 or 8 mil on Saturday. Caulfield's in that awkward spot there on the Bayside. It actually does cop a bit of rain when it does sweep through Melbourne. That part of Melbourne does tend to cop a little bit of rain, so it's going to be a little bit of a concern. I'm probably more worried about the rain on race day. I think with the high winds, it'll dry out, but we don't really want rain on race day. We know Caulfield is a tired track and sort of relies on sort of dry and sort of firmer conditions. So I think the rating at the moment is a soft 5, soft 6. That would usually be on the drier side, or they would try and keep it on the drier side, barring Mother Nature. So a little bit concerned about rain on race day, but look, we should be in for a good day's racing nonetheless. 10
races on the card, and Mitch, as you said, at Rosehill, currently soft conditions, but with the sun out and the rail in the 3-metre position, we could get towards possibly a 5 or a 4.
I doubt we get to a 4. I think we've just had so much rain that there's still going to be a lot of juice in the track, but it certainly is improving now. The track dries out there pretty well at Rosehill. So I think the best we're going to get is probably a 5 if it continues in this way. But I mean, a 5 sounds excellent compared to what we've had when we're talking bottomless heavy 10s and basically 11s at some of these meetings. So look, it's going to be hard to sort of measure up some of the form with some of these horses that have found heavy tracks, but hopefully we found a few and a couple of returning ones, of course, in the San Domenico Stakes, some of these smart colts that are returning. But yeah, no Group 1 racing this weekend, but still plenty of nice spring horses.
Of course, Group 1 racing obviously started last week, every weekend until I think the 14th of December as well. So we are in for a nice long spring, but I can't wait. But Gil, we'll rip into the Group 1 Memsie Stakes at Caulfield. It is the feature. It is race 9 on the card. Firstly, we'll take a look at the speed map for this weekend. Of course, the speed map brought to you by Racenet. Go check out Racenet and Racenet IQ today. So this is the speed map that Racenet has put together. I don't think it's going to end up like this. Here to Shock is probably going to lead. I don't think Treasure of the Moment first up will lead, and Mr. Brightside will probably push across too.
Yeah, look, I think that's pretty much spot on. Another will be thereabouts. Is It Me obviously goes back. I think Tom Kitten will be thereabouts. Fangirl sort of goes out the back as well. So it's going to be interesting. And Tino probably just in behind the speed. I mean, just looking at this field, it's extraordinary. The Memsie, I guess, in recent years has always had, 1 or 2, maybe 3, top class weight for age, Cox Plate sort of horses. I mean, you're looking at this field, and it's basically a Cox Plate light, potentially. I think there's 11 runners and there's 10 individual Group 1 winners in this field, with the exception is it me, the rank outsider, who hasn't won a Group 1. Everyone else has won a Group 1. Here to Shock, of course, won a Group 1 in New Zealand early in the year. So I think it's going to be a cracking race. This will rate through the roof. It could be one of the better races of the entire calendar year. And as you say, look, treasure of the moment. I wouldn't think she would be out in front, not first up with what's at stake down the track. So I think, Here to Shock will be doing the bullocking work early and looking for Mr. Brightside. And geez, talk about conditions. Mr. Brightside, he has got the perfect conditions. Now, they considered going to Sydney last week for the Wink Stakes, but they didn't want, as Mitch alluded to, a heavy 15 first up. He absolutely plows through soft tracks. Even if it gets to a heavy, does not matter for Mr. Brightside. There's a bit of question mark around his last trial, but he always sort of gets hard ridden, the ears scrubbed off. He's a genuine racehorse. We know that he brings his best on race day. And I haven't done my tips yet for the paper, and I'll tell you what, maybe Mr. Brightside could be right at the pointy end, because I think with these conditions, he'll be very hard to beat. I have sided with Another Will. I think he's the specialist for this race. 1,400 metres, Caulfield, it's sweet spot for Another Will. Gets the perfect run, drawn nicely, but Jamie Mellon can do what she likes. She'll sit in behind the speed. We'll need a gap, but we've seen Another Will just drive through gaps before. He's a tenacious galloper, so the gaps won't worry him. He'll if there's a gap there, he'll take it. And I just think, even though they are looking at, I mean, they genuinely want to go to Cox Plate. They think he's a proper 2,000 metre horse. They expect him to develop into a 2,000 metre horse by the end of this campaign. He's sort of shown signs of this in the past and basically over-raced. Done himself no favours. He has come back more mature, stronger, the usual early spring taglines. But the key with him is mentally, between the years, he has learned to relax. So I think that'll be important for him down the track. That's not to say that he can't come out and win on Saturday. He might just be that little bit soft late, because they are obviously trying to get him to 2,000, long prep, and he does tend to go better with a few runs under his belt as well. So probably the last 50, 100 metres, especially with conditions, could be the testing material. But and you know who's going to be nipping at his heel would be Mr. Brightside. I'm actually really, not worried. I'm actually excited. We could see a real vintage effort here.
And we haven't even talked about old mate Tom Kitten, the All-Star Mile winner as well. And it'll just be interesting to see how Mr. Brightside, he went to Hong Kong at the end of the season, and I'll be honest, he looked terrible over there, and he ran up to his looks there. And Tino went to Hong Kong at the end of last year. He's come back. He's won his Group 1 as well. So sometimes they either go one way or the other way. He can really explode off that, or he can really dip off that. So this weekend, given everything, Caulfield 1,400 first up, 11 starts at the track for 6 wins and 4 placings, and the Caulfield 1,400, 6 wins over 8 starts. It's set up for him there. As said, we haven't talked about Tom Kitten, who I think gets a good run, but Fangirl as well, if it's too wet, she's probably got none. But I'm interested to see what Ciaron Maher does with Zardozi. I know it's first up, but I've just got I want to see where she's going to end up in the spring. I can't wait. But Mitch, Fangirl does turn up. If it is wet, do we expect her to take her place, or will she be back on the truck back to Sydney for next week?
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what Chris does. He's already had to change his plans once with her. I think the big thing is it doesn't seem like the track's going to get near as wet as what we got last week in Sydney, where it was just a really heavy track. So if it gets in that soft range, look, she's run on soft before. It's not her best surface. It clearly brings her back. I mean, he's taken her down there with the intention of running on Saturday night. He sent her straight down after scratching her from last week's race in Sydney. So she's gone down there. She's worked at Caulfield during the week. I dare say she lines up. I don't think it's too, it will get as wet as what we saw last week in Sydney. Look, I was keen to be with her, but just the amount of rain about, I think she's the sort of horse that you've got to sort of wait till race day to see what the track looks like and how it's playing, because she can certainly win the race if it's not too rain affected on the day. She's a very classy horse. So look, I'll be keeping her safe for sure, but it's a matter of how he's going to play on the day. I'm with Another Will as well. I just think his first up record and his record at Caulfield over the 1,400 metres is just so good. He's hard to play around. He's the safer bet. He goes on all surfaces. I think he's there to run well, but big watch on Fangirl on that track.
my mate Tom Kitten just getting absolutely no love whatsoever. But the feature in Sydney, Mitch, is the San Domenico Stakes, 1,100 metres. The 3-year-old's turning up here. Interesting little race. Woden obviously turns up, the big boom horse of the autumn. Devil Knight's a Group 1 winner. And Rivanello took all before him last prep, obviously was unbeaten going into the Golden Slipper. This is an interesting little race.
Yeah, it's a cracking race. You've got 5 colts that featured in the Golden Slipper last year. Woden, of course, finished second in that race. Rivellino, a luckless 4th. Even Devil Knight went through the Blue Diamond down in Melbourne up to a Golden Slipper. So you've got those 5 horses, and it's always the tail. Do these gun 2-year-olds become really good 3-year-olds? And it's not always the case. So it's about picking the right one. And then you've got the new kid on the block in Raging Force, who didn't feature throughout the Autumn Carnival, actually had his first start way back last year, but then didn't feature throughout the autumn, come through the winter, put together 3 straight really impressive wins. He's just had a little freshen up with this a target race, and he looks to be a major player in this as well. I've lent the way of Rivellino in the feature. I think he just presents a little bit more value than the 2 in the market there, Woden and Raging Force. He's trialled up nicely with Jason Collett on board. He obviously was excellent winning last preparation in the Skyline and the English Millennium. If he's come back at around that 850 quote, he looks to be the play for me.
I like it. I like it a lot. Gil, we'll move to on the best bets for the weekend. And we talked about Devil Knight just there, but he's lobbing up here in Melbourne. Well, he's in both races at the moment, but you think he looks better placed in the McNeil. They're both set weights and penalties race, but the McNeil just looks that little bit weaker than the San Domenico.
I think Devil Knight will win wherever he starts. Whether it's Melbourne or Sydney, he'll win. Put it that way. Woden, I'll tell you what, it's almost D-Day, isn't it, Mitch, for Woden? We've talked him up, and he's basically eligible for a Class 1. So he just needs to sort of deliver on the big stage. I think Devil Knight has been there, done that. He's a Blue Diamond winner. He ran super in the Slipper. I'm not sure how much more Devil Knight could do. So now the query is going to be the track. He needs a better track than potentially what he's going to get at Caulfield. So there is some suggestion that he could. Well, he's up in Sydney. He's up in Sydney. He'll be coming down this evening. Of course, we're recording on a Thursday morning. He'll be coming down Thursday night to Melbourne if he is to run here. Alternatively, he'll stay in Sydney and go to Rose Hill and win the San Domenico. So simple as that.
So we just have Gil's best bet, Devil Knight brackets wherever he goes.
Put it down.
I like it. But Mitch, you're kicking off the day with your best bet in the midway. It's a horse I know a bit about. A good mate of mine's a part owner, and they are very excited this weekend to see what Wild Thoughts can do.
Yeah, so he should be excited. He's a progressive galloper, isn't he? Kerry Parker's really taken his time with him. He'll pop up in the midway here. He's had 2 nice wins there on home turf at Kembla Grange over 1,500 metres. The horse he beat last start, Iceman, has come out and won in midweek grade at Warwick Farm. So that's franked the form a little bit. He just looks like the sort of horse that's going to relish 1,800 metres. I think he's a great play in the midway to start the day. Race 1, number 7, Wild Thoughts.
He also looked like the heavy track the other day wasn't to his liking. Getting back on a better ground we'll probably see a bit of a better performance, I would think, as well as dropping well and wide. He drops a couple of kilos off that. But Gil, I've picked up on what you're trying to do here with your best players across the weekend. You just try to get it out of the way nice and early. Race 1, Ciaron Maher last week. You're going there again.
I am. We got the chocolates last week, didn't we? We wouldn't want that race again.
Never pay on margins.
No, that's right. Cherish me. But geez, she's a good filly. That was a super return. I had a look actually the section. I think she was the fastest last 400 of the entire meeting. Obviously, race 1. The conditions were great, but to do what she did at the Valley, she looked gone approaching the bend and just launched late. There's your 1,000 guineas filly wrapped up in a bow. Now, race 1, number 5, Gilded Water for His Majesty the King.
Yep.
Now, Ciaron Maher and the King want this horse to be in the Melbourne Cup on the first Tuesday in November.
Yep.
Now, if it's going to be in the Melbourne Cup on the first Tuesday in November, I dare say it needs to win a benchmark 78. Otherwise, it's going to have a hard time getting to the big race.
He might be running in the Glargenbone Cup on Melbourne Cup Day instead.
So, no, look, they've got a good ability. They got a good opinion of this horse, but the problem is he needs to prove it, and he's going to run out of time. So he needs to be winning races to get his rating up, to get into a race that he can qualify through. Now, they're fortunate that they've got some of those Geelong Cups, Moonee Valley Cup. There's opportunities to get in. He's probably, he
needs to get his rating up.
He needs to get his rating up. He's not going to get into an Archer or a Bart Cummings at a, whatever he is, probably a 74 rater. So He needs to go out there and win. He's got Mark Zahra on. Big weight on this track, but I think that goes to show the ability that this horse has. He's drawn wide, might not be the worst place to be, even though it is race 1, but we'll see how the track plays. And yeah, look, I think he'll just go out and win.
Was there any issue with him? Because obviously he came out sort of late last year, won a couple of races, and then he missed all the autumn and all of the winter as well. Was that just let him acclimatise to think of the Melbourne Cup? Because given his first 2 wins over 2,000, 2,400, everyone's like, oh, this is a cup horse.
That's right. Yeah, no, the $10 million race at Flemington on the first Tuesday in November surpassed any other option. And, the problem is they need to get him there with the right weight and the right rating. So, so no, it was a very patient approach. Let him mature. Of course, he won, was it second up, I think, for Ciaron and sort of put the writing on the wall there.
It was over 2,400.
And they've basically been very patient, as we've seen with Ciaron. He's going to have about 15 horses all aimed at Flemington on the first Tuesday. And, how many get there is anyone's guess at this time. We're so far out and anything can happen. But he's one that he had circled. And wouldn't it be great for the King to have a runner in the Melbourne Cup?
I was about to say, what is the line on Ciaron Maher runners in the Cup? What do we? I'm going the line of about 4.5 at the moment.
Yeah, I'd put it there. I reckon he had 4 or 5 last year. The last couple of years he's had 4 or 5. Last year I think Kita Sushi ran 3rd, was his best result, and the other 3 or 4 sort of were all basically top 10
He had a thing
finishes.
with Teo Nugent on the 3rd or 4th the year before.
That's
as
right.
well. So
No, so he'll get 4 or 5, and he's a master at finding ways to qualify them. Like the Bendigo Cup basically put down a Ciaron Maher horse. He just goes there with a horse and bang, wins and gets in. So he'll find an avenue for this horse to get there, hopefully. Of course, it's got to stay sound. A lot of water to go under the bridge, 2 months and whatever out. But yeah, look, I just think in this sort of race, at that price, Zahra on board, in the right stable, just has to win, basically.
All right.
Spring on the line.
I like it. Early call, spring on the line. We haven't even hit spring yet. Mitch, your next best, race 3, a mare who's going to appreciate the step up in trip.
Yeah, man, I think she will also appreciate the drier surface on Saturday. That's race 3, number 7, Amrikia, which I believe is Arabic for referring to an American woman or the inflection of an American woman. So this horse, of course, out of Justify. That makes sense to me, doesn't it, boys? Amrikia, we'll go with it. It took me a few times to get her name right, I tell you, when I was doing the form and speaking about it. But I think she is a really nice horse. I think we can really forgive her last run. Her first up run, this preparation, she came into the preparation unbeaten. Had to be seen to be believed against the bias. She made up a stack of ground and won really well. Last start, she just got caught a little bit wide on a track that she just didn't seem to love. Now she'll get a better surface and she faces a lot of the same horses that she faced the other day in this race. I think she's right there to bounce back. I think she's a great bet on Saturday in race 3.
Yeah, the small field there, and obviously Karen knowing a bit more about her. I thought 1,400 the other day. She only got going the last 100 metres. So yeah, I agree with you there. Gil, your value play, a horse that's promised the world, and I'm going to say he's delivered an Atlas so far, despite winning well over $1 million in prize money.
Geez, you're a hard taskmaster. I don't know how many horses you've got that have won more than $1.3 million in the kick. But
the other one I bought for 7, he's won 270,000.
Well, that's not a bad return on investment. But look, Airman, by all reports, he's going really well, and he's actually come back. I don't want to say career best form, but he's sort of they're the sort of noises you're hearing. About Airman. Now, race 7, number 3. Look, I think at the price, $18, he's worth a little each way nibble. B. Mellum aboard, drawn well, flies first up, loves good or soft tracks. I think ticks a few boxes. Whether he runs, again, is a bit of a question mark because I believe that he's also in Sydney. So
Another one's still in Sydney.
So I'm reliant on a truck to be coming down from Sydney tonight to Melbourne to fill the boots.
Yeah, and let's be honest, he did beat the Everest winner last preparation. Well, he had one run in the autumn, but this time last year he beat the Everest winner. So he's more than capable on his day. It just needs to sort of all work out for him. So don't mind it there at all. And Mitch, your best value play comes up in the final event of the day.
It could be one of the most intriguing horses on the program, you'd have to say. And I've been, it's nice to see a bit of support for him this morning as well. That's Colourful Emperor in the final event on the day. Now, this horse started his career in Europe, then went to Hong Kong. He actually got retired in Hong Kong and came over here for rehab, but he was going so well in his rehab, they thought, why not let's see if we can have another go with him in Australia. He's won all of his trials in the lead up to this. I think it's a little bit on spec, but his trials have been really nice. And with a bit of market support early, I think we could be on the money here in the last of the day on Colourful Emperor. He could be a horse that could make his mark over this period. Look, certainly an interesting galloper, boys. Before Saturday, hadn't heard much of him, but I hope I'm a huge fan by the end of the day.
And you're with the right stable as well. Obviously, Gerald and Sterling do get their horses ready to go first up, and he has handled soft going. So if the track still is in that soft range, you might be onto something there. Might definitely have to throw it in the quaddie now. Speaking of quaddies, Gil, last week missed out.
Yes.
We're going back again. We've gone a little bit wider this week. We went for over the 100% last week, but in fairness, with the expected rain here, I can understand just the tiny bit of caution we're playing. But race 7 is the first leg. Take us through it.
Yeah, look, I did find it a bit tricky, to be fair. I try. I do like to have a tight quaddie, but I had a hard time, especially the third last leg. But no, look, race 7, we'll go 2, 3, 6, and 12. Race 8, 2, 3, and 8. Race 9, this is the one I found a bit difficult to split. 1, 2, 6, 9, 11. And we'll come home with 4, 6, and 10. So your $100 investment, about 55%. Hopefully we don't get affected by too many scratchings. And look, I tell you what, looking at the quaddie, it could pay a bit if you jag the right numbers on the weekend. You could get a bit of value, because I do think there's a couple of races there that, basically they're lotteries, the last race and the second last race.
And you've really trimmed up there, that last race as well. Like, if you can probably get, I reckon, Seppels knocked off in the last race, you might be onto something there. But yeah, it does look an intriguing quaddie. $100 gets you 55.5%. Of course, that graphic up on your screen now. Mitch, funnily enough, you're spending $100 and also getting 55.5%. So I like the synergy this week.
Yeah, I went wide last week, and look, it didn't go to plan at all, did it? We got the favourite, Autumn Glow, to win the first leg, and then Via Sistina wins the second. So, I think if you had my quaddie, you might have got about $3 back if you went your value. So, look, we've cut it a little bit, but I still think it's pretty tricky this week, and I think hopefully we can find some value along the way. So I've gone race 7, 3, 6, 8, and 19. Race 8, 2, 5, and 7. Race 9, 4, 13, and 15. And race 10, we'll try and jag a result in 3, 6, 7, 10, and 16. But Jesus, I owe the punters. I really do. So fingers crossed, boys.
I don't mind that at all. But yeah, $100 for 55.5% there. But we need to talk about the news. Obviously, a busy time of year at the moment with everything going on in the world of racing. Gil, what's coming up in the Herald Sun and on Racenet over the next couple of days?
Well, you'll get a bit of your love for Tom Kitten.
Yep.
Caught up with Ben Melham yesterday at Sandown. And, look, Tom Kitten, he couldn't be happier with him. He's had, I think, 3 trials under the belt to prepare for this red-hot Memsie. And he's going in the right way. And I think the thing about Tom Kitten, probably... we've got a lot of exposed horses in this race. As I said, 10 individual Group 1 winners. He's probably the one that's almost like the tip of the iceberg. You can see, like what he's done, what he did last prep was clearly a career prep after he got the snip as a gelding. That's right. And of course, he did win a Group 1 early in his career, but that was the coming of age, I think, last prep, culminating in, of course, the All-Star Mile. He went toe-to-toe with your bright side. So he showed that he's up to that level. So... And I just think we're not really sure where he'll go. He could really go to the next level. I spoke to James Cummings before he sort of or closed up shop here to hit the Hong Kong, and he said Tom Kitten was the horse that I guess that if he was to stay for a horse, that was the horse he wanted to stay for. Now Ben Melham has got a good association with the horse, has been riding it for the Freedman stable now, of course, and so good push. Benny did say that Tom Kitten will win a Group 1 this campaign. Now, which one it is, we'll find out, but he's capable of winning another Group 1 in the spring.
I like how James said now that he's leaving Godolphin, the horse that he was most excited for was a gelding. I really enjoy that. Also, what do we reckon he's up to right now? Do you reckon he's enjoying not waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning every day?
Oh, look, I dare say...
he's got his feet up somewhere.
Well, possibly, but you don't get to the level that James got to without being a racing maniac. So I think he'd still be trying to figure out exactly, how to work out Hong Kong, the right stables. And horses and whatnot to make that transition over there. And another good story coming up, Peter Moody. Obviously, of course, we've got the Australian Hall of Fame induction on Sunday in Queensland, and it's actually great that Moods gets inducted with the award ceremony in Queensland alongside Black Caviar, Winks go in as well, Zach Purton and Johnny Tapp. So it's a great event up there on Sunday in Brisbane. And so spoke to Moods, but also to people around Moods, the inner sanctum, I guess, because he's an amazing story. Out Queensland to basically conquer the racing world with Black Caviar. And so I've spoken to his wife, his daughter, the jockey, the co-trainer. It's some great insights, which I'd urge you to have a read.
Tell you what, his daughter took some important grabs last week for Carlton against Hawthorn down at Frankston too. It looked freezing down there too. What about up in Sydney, Mitch? What's going on up there?
Look, we've got our big awards night on Thursday night in Racing New South Wales. So, look, all the usual suspects. I don't think there'll be any real surprises of the award winners there in Sydney. So, look out for that on Friday and all. Once, I guess, all the embargoes are gone, we will find out all the award winners here in Sydney, of course. Another of our Everest contenders, Private Harry, was an excellent trialist this morning. So a bit of news on him and how he's going. The Sable and connections there, Corinda Bloodstock, have been very bullish with how he's going, and it's hard not to notice how well he's going at his recent trials. He's looked excellent on a path to that Everest and that mouth-watering clash with Kaying Rising. So from a weekend perspective, of course, we've got the San Domenico and the up-and-coming stakes this weekend. A lot of exciting 3-year-olds coming back. And I think it's a lot of the same with a few of these colts that are coming through. It's just they've got to answer the question this weekend. Can they translate from that good juvenile form into 3-year-olds and head towards those Group 1 Golden Roses and Caulfield Guineas and things like that later in the spring? So plenty of news to come, but it's going to be a big weekend of racing and mainly it's going to be on drier ground. So that's the main thing we like in Sydney.
Private Harry trialling well. We'd be remiss not to talk about, I know Kaying Rising trialled against horses you and I are probably faster than during the week. He was the 5th horse to break like a minute 10 at Happy Valley on the dirt track at Sha Tin in that time. He runs next Sunday in the season opener in Hong Kong. So he looks ready to rumble as well. I know it's going to be basically a paid barrier trial next week, but I can't wait for him to come out to Australia.
Bring it on.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the top selections for the weekend from the boys. In the Group 1, they're both with another wheel in the Memsie Stakes. Gil's best bet, Devil Knight. Gilded Water, the next best. Airman, the value, of course, wherever Devil Knight runs, just back it according to Gil. In Sydney, Mitch's best is Wild Thoughts in the first. His next best is Amrakia, and the value play in the last, Colourful Emperor. Now, make sure you do get to the boys' social media accounts. Follow Gilbert at Gilbert Gardiner. All the stories will be breaking there. Mitch is at Mitch RW Cohen, and Racenet tweets for Racenet's Twitter page there. But do make sure you get across to Racenet, the Daily Telegraph, and the Herald Sun for all the racing news that the boys are pumping out. Of course, the team behind the scenes as well. The rest of the journos are doing a stack of work at the moment. There is a lot going on. Also, if you do want to watch another racing video, go check out Hold All Tickets with James Lamb, Campbell Brown, ahead of the the Legends game tonight at Marvel Stadium, and Marcus Barzano. Marcus, a part of the team here as well. So that's a pretty fun show if you want to get a look at the lighter side of racing, shall we say. But Gil, thank you and good luck at the luncheon.
Thank you.
And Mitch, thank you to you.
No worries, boys. Enjoy the luncheon, Gil.
Will do.
Make sure you have a good weekend. Good luck on the punt. We'll catch you next week on Out the Gate.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.